A man got killed for leaking out the evidence that there is an alien base on the moon. He even confirmed that he worked at one of NASA's secret facilities, and what he saw there changed his whole perspective of what we think we know. Welcome. The disclosure has probably been going on for some time, but most of us have been oblivious to it. Bill Nelson, the administrator of NASA, made the most startling claims about extraterrestrial visitors. He thinks there is intelligent life beyond Earth, on worlds that might be just as sophisticated and well organized as ours. Mr. Nelson expressed his hope that some of the unexplained UFO sightings are not evidence of an adversary here on Earth. He suggested that it is more likely that these sightings are evidence of life existing on other planets. NASA conspirators, whistleblowers, have a full assurance that the U.S. Space Agency has been covering the evidence of UFOs since the first Apollo mission. Donna Hare claimed to have worked for NASA contractor Philco Ford in the early 1970s. She had a high-security clearance to walk into NASA's photo lab and other departments. During the Disclosure Project press conference, Hare revealed that NASA covered up and eliminated space anomalies such as UFOs from satellite photos. Hare has got several awards in space programs. She dedicated most of her time as a technical illustrator to space programs. She created lunar maps and landing slides and had been working for 15 years as a subcontractor for NASA. Former NASA scientist Robin Brett, who was among the first people to study and direct research on moon rocks, said, "It seems easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence." Besides, according to scientists, the moon is older than the Earth by nearly 800,000 years, which raises a lot of questions. Former U.S. Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf, who died in a bike accident in 2018, was another person who shared a story similar to Donna Hare. He also had top-secret clearance and worked at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, the USA. He worked as a precision electronics photograph repairer for NASA's Lunar Orbiter project. One day, he was taken into a lab by another worker who showed him a photo of artificial buildings at the lunar base. These photos had been taken prior to the Apollo landing in 1969.
At any rate, I was in a color lab one day when my boss, Staff Sergeant Taylor, came over to me and said that they were having a problem with some equipment on the base, and it was the first Lunar Orbiter program, where they had a mission to pretty much locate the first landing sites for the 1969 lunar mission for the astronauts. So he said they were having some problems with equipment over there. It was similar equipment to what we had. It was computerized contact printing equipment. He wanted to know if I would go over and take a look at it. He said to me, "It's an NSA facility." At the time, I didn't know what the NSA was. I was pretty naive. I thought he said NASA. So in my mind, for a long time, I thought it was a NASA facility that I had gone to, but I remembered him saying NSA and converting it in my own mind to NASA.
Wolf claimed that one day, when NSA photographic equipment failed, he was asked to assist them with the important repair work that was needed to keep the machines on the job. He was the only person who was readily available at the time and was trained in the type of equipment that had failed. This was really a coincidence. In the regular course of events, he would be breaking protocol by entering NSA territory. The level of his security clearance was enhanced, and as a result, he was allowed to even enter the extremely secure laboratory. Wolf's heart was pounding when he entered the heretofore forbidden hangar on that particular day, and he was astounded to witness the frenzied activity in the laboratory, which was being carried out by individuals from different countries. Wolf had expected that only people with the American citizenship would be in the NASA lab, but he was surprised to see a large number of people with guest name tags and obviously from other countries present on this particular day. This led him to believe that those people had traveled from their home countries for some event that required their temporary presence. Concerning the outcome of his mission, he experienced feelings of dread. Whatever it was that required his presence, it was of the utmost significance. Someone had informed him that the relevant equipment was located in a nearby dark room. When he was first carried into the chamber, the only thing that greeted him was the red glow of a safety light. However, after a time, he was able to make out the form of one airman who manned the area even though it was dark. Wolf was aware that in order to fix the image processing equipment, it would first need to be removed, and he was also aware that the diagnostics on this kind of equipment would take some time to complete. Quickly, arrangements were made for the camera equipment to be moved to a safer place so Wolf could start the long process of figuring out what was wrong. While Wolf was waiting for his ride, he started talking to the other airmen. Wolf asked very carefully why NASA work was being done at Langley instead of NASA's headquarters in Houston. After that, he was informed that all of the NASA picture data was transferred to Langley, where it was upgraded and transformed into finished photographs, which were then analyzed by various parts of the armed forces. Wolf was given some insight by the attendant of the dark chamber as to the nature of the enigma surrounding the situation. Wolf was told that new, better pictures had shown structures on the surface of the moon's dark side that were both surprising and clear. Structures that could not have been made by natural means like meteors or ancient collisions between other celestial bodies. The structures were created by intelligent beings. We discovered, the airman said, a base of the back side of the moon. Wolf was obviously stunned by this extraordinary disclosure. He remembers literally shaking, trying to take in the enormity of what he had been told. Seeing Wolf's disbelief, the dark room attendant continued, "Yes, a base on the dark side of the moon." Although the attendant had not explicitly stated that the structures were not created by inhabitants of Earth, it appeared obvious. Wolf was still in awe as he looked down at the photos he was attempting to visualize in his mind. As he stooped beneath the red glowing lamp, he saw something that so few would ever see. He was able to discern geometric shapes that were well organized and planned. Most noticeable to him were what looked exactly like radar antennas, very similar to what one could see on Earth. There was no longer any question in Wolf's mind as to the reason behind the peculiar assortment of investigators and scientists that were present at this location on this particular day. They had traveled to the moon in order to view and investigate the structures that he was currently staring at, which were built on the moon by intelligent beings. He might be detained or worse. He only wanted to complete his task, get out of there, and leave things alone. Wolf carried on the task at hand, putting the memories of that day to the back of his mind, and continued living his life. Wolf, however, was haunted by the images he saw that day for many years to come. After he left the active service, his security clearance prohibited him from leaving the United States for 5 years, and he was sworn to keep what he had seen to himself. Before he finally informed anyone about that remarkable day, it would be 30 years. The 74-year-old Sergeant Wolf was killed after being hit by a trailer while cycling in Lansing, New York. Wolf was rushed to Cayuga Medical Center where he later died from the injuries sustained in the crash. Wolf was not the only whistleblower whose death seems mysterious. Former U.S. Army Command Sergeant Major Robert Orel Dean claimed that when he worked for NATO in France, he read a document titled, The Assessment, in the 1960s. According to him, the document contained information about photos of dead aliens, crashed UFOs and reports by military pilots and scientists. Coincidentally, he died a week before Wolf's death in 2018. Thanks for watching.